All right. Keep in mind, by the way, all meetings are recorded. So if you're in this room, um, keep that in mind. We do have a camera in the back. It's not zooming in on anyone, but um, I guess you can wave to the people on Zoom if you want. Okay, so starting off, who are we? So Slug Security is a student org, if you didn't know. We are not mainly graduate students, we're not faculty, but we're a student org under Baskin Engineering. That means that we're not like SUA affiliated org, similar to many other kind of like technical clubs here on campus. And we're focused on all things computer security. I've had people come to me and ask if we're like a security guard club before, when we didn't have like the hacker branding. So no, we are not like security guards, but we do computer security specifically. Whenever I say cyber, I'm talking about computer security or cybersecurity. So if you ever get confused, that's what we do here in short terms. We do things mainly learn, practice, connect, and have fun. And as I said before, we're student ran. All the programming in the club, all the events is student ran, but our club is kind of special in the sense that we have faculty oversight because people are scared of, I don't know, cybersecurity specialists here. So we do have people we need to manage over us. And kind of like the history of this club is that there used to be a much older club here at the school called Security Santa Cruz, but it kind of died out in 2014. So in 2022, I came here as a freshman and I was interested in cyber. And we were like, hey, this died out. Let's restart it. So we started Slug Security, very original name. A lot of clubs here have Slug in the name, but here we are now. So if you are ever confused and you're like Googling things about the club or the org itself, you might see some of that stuff pop up. But basically, we're continuing under basically the same faculty advisor. But now we're rebranded and we're more student focused. But basically, the TLDR of what we do is we do cool shit with computers and we try and hack them, and all while being community oriented and having fun with other people, around us. That is to say, we do follow the law when it comes to, doing things with computers. Obviously, cybersecurity is kind of that field where it gets dicey when you're hacking into things. But we do have some ground rules when it comes to your, I don't know, activities within the club or around the club. So those rules are pretty simple. Be nice to everyone. So, treat everyone with respect. I think that goes without being saying. Don't be condescending. Someone said that they're using the Linux operating system. You don't need to say, actually, it's GNU slash Linux or whatever. So, don't be that person at meetings or at events. Be friendly to beginners. A lot of people, there's no official programs here for cyber. So a lot of people are beginners or they're not CS majors. So be friendly to those people. We want to have like a welcoming community here. Another thing, adhere to ethical practices. We've had moments where people would come into the Discord and say, hey, I hacked into the system. Please don't do that before disclosing it to the people that you hacked. We want to be ethical, and we have, had those scenarios happen before. Please don't talk about your crimes in computers and all that stuff in the Discord before you have permission to talk about it. So please keep that in mind. If you're confused if something you're doing is unethical, you can ask people in the club. When I say ask us, I don't mean me personally or the officer team. I mean, just throw that question in the chat of, hey, would it be ethical for me to run like a network scan of this school? Someone might respond yes, some might respond no, but they'll have reasons because ethics, is kind of, there's no right answer to something. So it's better to gauge people before you do something. And lastly, don't be evil. If you're doing computer crime, that's obviously like a real thing you could be charged with. Please don't do that in our club because, we have our own detection systems on our infrastructure. The school has detection systems on their own systems, in quotes. So, we don't want your crimes to be correlated with the club. All I'm saying is just don't do crime. All right. I feel like that's a fair, request of me to all of you or anyone trying to join the club. All right. So going on to what we do in the club. So mainly it's socializing. Some clubs call this networking, but I think that's a dumb way to word it. But yeah, we mainly socialize. We talk about different events. We talk about personal projects. We help each other, things like that. So, if you're working on something that you want expertise in, I don't know, let's say RF or something like that, radio frequencies, feel free to just ask in the chat. Anyone know anything about RF? Can you help me out? I'm doing this cool thing. You might get some help. That's the main thing I think we're trying to do here as a club is build a community and just have fun. Uh, Secondary objectives, but still a big one, is learn. So we do a lot of technical hands-on workshops. Usually we have them pretty much weekly, some quarters, but it kind of depends who's available to host them. And they're all ran by students, not always officers, but we like to encourage more non-officers to run them. And we do things like hacking labs, we work on the cyber range, things like that. More on that later. But there's a lot of fun in that. We have our former vice president's cat who was helping us set up some network switches over there. But yeah, we have fun. And lastly, we do competitions. These are very diverse. I'll talk about what type of competitions we do. Most of them are online. So if you're unavailable to come in person to Baskin on the weekends, they're pretty perfect for you because you don't need to go anywhere. You can just stay in your room and kind of like hack away and do stuff. And we collaborate on Discord when it comes to those competitions as well. And then there's kind of like unofficially club projects. Like we're trying to build some kind of mesh networked communication here at UCSC, but you know, the club can sponsor student projects as well. We've done that in the past, and that's kind of what we hope to do. When it comes to workshops, they're open to all unless it's a small cohort because we have very limited resources. An example of this is if we're teaching you soldering, obviously we don't have like 50 soldering kits, so we only have 10. We're going to limit that to people sharing. And because of that, we have a limitation to the workshops. The biggest thing is to check the event details attached to every workshop, and I'll talk about looking at the events programming calendar and stuff like that. But just make sure that the event you're going to is actually open to all. For example, officer meetings are for officers, but they're still public in the sense of where they are and when they are. So keep that in mind. Attendance is also collected. We're trying to do this thing for Baskin purposes of collecting who is an active member. So technically by being here, you're a member or whatever, but we have different like requirements for active members, which kind of depends on like internal metrics we have of how many meetings you attend and things like that. And of course, you can attend virtually or in person, that counts. We don't have the attendance system right now, but we'll have it at the next meeting. And then for meeting prerequisites, for example, if we're doing a soldering workshop, we're going to try and not have any prerequisites to meetings like knowledge or hardware or things like that. But if there are any, we'll of course put that in the event description. So keep that in mind as well when you check different event details. And the format of these workshops is pretty simple. I'm trying to move away from the thing of someone talking for 30 to 45 minutes with slides and, getting like 10 minutes to work on something and then everyone rushes out because they have to go do something. So the idea behind workshops is we show you some concepts. We show you why it's cool, how you can just quickly get started with it. And then we get hands-on again with our cyber range because we can spin up our own instances so you don't have to bring anything. And that's the idea behind workshops, which is one of the things we do here. The next thing we do here, obviously, is competitions. Everyone loves competitions. Here are some photos of kind of like the past year and a half of, I don't know, moments from those competitions. Someone got ran over, not really. But yeah, there's some interesting things in there. And sometimes they will include fun, not just competing. So let's talk about the competitions we do. So there are kind of three main categories when it comes to Slug security. There's, of course, way more in the field, but these are the ones we focus on. The first one is something we call Capture the Flags or CTF competitions. These are very casual 48-hour events over the weekend. They're essentially like small computer puzzles like lead code. You get set up some kind of description. You have an objective of, say, hacking into a server. You get into it, things like that. And you get a flag. You've captured it. You gave our team points, things like that. The next one is cyber defense. We have one we specifically work towards, but essentially these are very competitive, mainly academically because they're like collegiate events. But they have qualifiers, they have regionals, they have nationals, things like that. And that's basically defending large networks from actual hackers trying to get into the system and trying to take you down, things like that. And then the last one, again, we'll talk about this in a bit, but the attack and defend competitions are much more researchy and academic, where you have planning and development. These ones usually last for like a few months. I forget the exact time range, but we'll talk about it. And the example we have is embedded firmware development for certain devices. And after you develop that firmware, you attack other teams' design of their own firmware. And then if you're ever curious about the kind of like official competitions we've done as a club, you can go on our site and you can kind of look at the highlights page and see some of the competitions we've done in the past. If any of those interest you, and you can Google to see more about them. So let's go more into the capture the flag competition. So these are usually hosted by random orgs or schools, sometimes internationally. Most of the time it's national in the US, but it happens over a weekend. So usually starts Friday. I know that's weird, but it will start Friday and end on like Saturday night or something like that. So, it's about 48 hours. They're very casual in the sense of there's no real like theory behind things. You're mainly just kind of practicing your skills. And if anyone has ever done lead code, that's pretty similar to this, but you're just hacking things instead of solving algorithm problems. And there are known cyber themes. So in that sense, a problem will be marked as web exploitation or binary exploitation or doing some kind of forensics challenge. So they're very centralized in the concept of what you're working on and what you're trying to hack. So there's a very minimal challenge scope when it comes to that. We're trying to push also for more write-ups. This is part of the CTF process where after you complete one of these challenges, you'll post like a technical write-up of how you solve that challenge and basically for the internet say, hey, I did this CTF and I solved this challenge. Look at my answer. Basically that. This is very useful just for like technical documentation skills. It's not required of doing these competitions, but we highly suggest doing that. That's how a lot of people start in the cybersecurity field is, just doing these little CTF competitions and then writing about it, and they get employment offers, which is pretty cool. Yeah, those are CTFs, one type of competition we do. It's probably the most common one you'll see on the internet as well. The next one we have is a cyber defense competition. So when I talk about a primary competition in the space, I'm talking about the Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition, or CCDC. It is a seasonal event, mainly around February and March. And the competition is essentially 12 people go on a blue team, or basically a defense team, where you're defending some kind of enterprise network that you were just dropped in. You have no idea what this network has. It's your first time seeing it. It's essentially like if you were an IT specialist and your company just acquired another company, and that other company had really bad security engineers and everything was misconfigured and full of vulnerabilities, and you have to solve that entire mess while there's 20 real people that are experienced hackers trying to break into the network, steal PII, or personally identifiable information, or other valuable enterprise secrets. And it's your job to stop them and patch all these systems. And if you don't stop them, you lose points in this competition, and you lose. It's very fun as well. So we have the Western region, so WRCCDC, and our region always does themed events. Here are some pictures from the last season. They had like a SCP-F themed um, like enterprise network where it's basically some government black site and people wore hazmat suits and all that stuff, pretended things were like top secret and secret, unclassified, whatever. Couldn't mix and match those things. So very fun. People, dress up for these events. It's really fun. And you might be asking, hey, can I participate in this? Well, because there's a team limitation, we are having this specifically application based. But we will say that if you participate in our cyber defense working group, more info on that later, you have a better chance of getting in. And essentially, that whole group is meeting together weekly on the weekends here at Baskin, and we're practicing patching these different networks. We'll set up these vulnerable networks, and we'll spend a day together in like a lab saying, hey, I want to try and learn how to fix Windows server machines, or I want to learn how to patch this Hannah Montana Linux because that's something we've seen in these environments before. Or you need to reconfigure some kind of network switch so it sends data correctly or something like that. And the timeline for this is right now we're in the invitationals and practice season. So that happens until January. And then in February, we have our qualifiers, which qualifies us for the regionals, which happen in March. I'll send more information on the working group because I gave a preference to the previous team to choose the time and location for this event. So I need to get their responses first, but then we're going to send a general club announcement following a bunch of other stuff. You'll see that there's a lot of like to be announced in these slides, but essentially we'll have like a big announcement and a big email newsletter for everyone to get more info and all these things later. And then this is more on Peter. He's our vice president and leader of this competition.
So ECTF, Miters Embedded Capture the Flag, is our other biggest competition that we participate in as a club. It is also it's actually not a limited team size, but we do have applications for this one because it does require some level of expertise. It's a bit of an advanced competition. So this competition, our team, all the teams that are participating across all these universities, it is international, have to basically design and implement a secure embedded system based on some specifications that we are given as a part of the competition. So last year's, or this year's, I guess, 2025 was a secure satellite TV network. And you can see in the bottom left there, sort of the diagram of like the structure of what the system had to, we had to implement that other side over there, the host computer receiver slash decoder, which had to securely receive TV frames from a satellite TV system and prevent like piracy and stuff like that, and prevent, like somebody from spamming invalid frames and stuff like that. It requires a lot of technical design, and it is over the time span of around 3 months. And you can see over there on the right-hand side, we have sort of the phases, the three phases of the competition. The design phase is the longest, or it's like the first half of the competition. Then we move on to the attack phase, where we're attacking other teams' designs. And so this is one of our biggest competitions that we participate in. We are actually going to have a dedicated meeting to this probably next weekend, so on the 18th to the 19th. Check the Discord, we will post an announcement about it. But we will go into all the details about the competition as well as have like an introduction workshop that goes over like what the process and what the competition is like. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And we'll stick around a bit after this meeting as well if you want to come and ask questions. So the other big thing is I have a lot of people asking me, hey, when or where are the events? I think we've streamlined this process like very well when it comes to finding out what's happening. So the whole programming for this club, everything is going to be on this page that we have. And if you have your phone, you can always scan, or you can use our very fancy short URL. But you can find everything that's happening in the club, both private and public, at slugsec.ucsc.edu/events. That gets you a Google Calendar that is automatically updated with all the programming that's happening in the club. So as I said before, there are officer meetings on there as well because we want to be, first of all, transparent, and we just want to keep track of things. You can click on those events and you can see more details about them. If they say private or they say that they're limited to a certain group, uh, please do not go to those meetings. Either you'll not be let in or you'll just be kind of stuck outside thinking, hey, this door is locked or something. So keep that in mind. Second place, we post things, and this is more immediate, but Discord announcements. Oh, we have a Discord. You're probably here from that Discord announcement we made. We make our meeting announcements, basically any other announcement about the club over there. I try and very religiously not like spam ping anyone. So, if you get pinged, it's something important like a club event or something like that, but you'll also see updates. Keep a note that usually I won't ping everyone for smaller updates like, hey, we moved rooms or something. So just keep in mind that channel if you want to be up to date with things. And then lastly, we have Instagram. We also have like Twitter, but I don't like posting to Twitter. It takes a long time. But that's where we have our social posts, and sometimes we'll announce club-wide events. So if you're ever confused on, hey, what's happening this week here at Slug Security, you have three places you can check: that website, the Discord, or the Instagram, and we'll probably be on there. And then we also do have a mailing list. If you've ever signed up to /registration or /join, and you filled out that registration form, we have your email. You're probably on the mailing list. We haven't sent anything out this quarter, but we send a giant email full of news about different things here at the university and the club just once a quarter. So we're not spamming you with that email collection, but keep in mind that's what happens when you fill out that form. Yeah. And then moving on, talk about a little bit less about the club and more about cybersecurity here at UC Santa Cruz. As you all may know, there's no official cyber program or pathway or concentration here at Santa Cruz. So if you're interested in engaging any cybersecurity stuff officially in class for credits and stuff like that, there's two main resources I would like to point you to, which is CC 132, which is computer security. This is taught in the fall by Professor Alvaro Cardenas. He's also our faculty sponsor, if you didn't know. And then we have this kind of new program that actually myself and another officer in this club teach, which is CMPM 17, also known as Introduction to Hacking Competitions. Some of you are in this class or may have heard of it, but this is a PR-E class, I think. So it gives you a GE and it's like 3 units. So if you're ever needing of that GE, try and take the class. It is seasonal. Most of the time, we don't teach in consecutive quarters. Currently, we are teaching our 4th class this fall. So most likely something in the spring, so keep that in mind. That class is very small. It's about 20 people. It is limited to first years and second years, but we do have exemptions for people in the club because it is also kind of a club recruiting tool. So those are classes. I think there's also additional computer security classes more on like cryptography and some other stuff, but irrelevant. 132 is the best one. And then on the research side, we actually just got marked as a NSA Center of Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity School. So this is like a program called like CAE, and essentially it's nothing that you have to do, but if you're ever applying to like federal positions within like cybersecurity, you get massive priority because you're coming from one of these target schools that the NSA and like CIA marked as a preference school. So if you're interested in doing, I don't know, public service, you have an upper hand in that. And that was also done by Professor Alvaro Cardenas. He also runs the graduate security lab here called Sci-Fi. If you're ever interested in doing like undergraduate research with him, I would suggest reaching out to him. He prefers Discord weirdly over his like official UCSC email. He's in our club Discord, so you can find him, somewhere on the members list, and DM him and ask him something. But yeah, that's really all we have for cyber here at the campus. We are close to Silicon Valley. I know every school says that. You're kind of competing with like Stanford and Berkeley, but we have some opportunities here occasionally with some partnerships that the university has with those companies in Silicon Valley. So we also have that as an added benefit. One of those examples is Bug Crowd, which is kind of like a bug bounty company, has worked closely with us. They've given us products to physically pen test, like routers, cameras, things like that. They support the club in getting people into these bug bounty programs. So if you're interested in doing that as well, you get access to more restricted programs that require background checks as well. I know some banks require it, but we have connections with that, so pretty useful for that. And lastly, as a student-ran club, uh, lately we've been well funded, so we bought a lot of computers, and this is where the cyber range stuff comes in. We have our own server rack compared to pretty much any other club here on campus, so I think this kind of makes us stand out. Um, so yeah, we maintain a whole server cluster. It's powered by a bunch of Dell PowerEdge machines. They're not like the latest, but they're enough. And the whole idea behind this means we have our own infrastructure that we can practice on. We can re-image things like that. And we're able to emulate hundreds of different machines. And this is the whole prerequisite thing of coming to workshops. Previously, we've required people to run their own VMs, but now we just run it in the cloud, our own cloud that we run. And then you just connect here and you connect on your laptop. You could even do this off like an iPad, and I've seen people do that in meetings. So I think that's one way our club really stands out. We have our own authentication system. We essentially kind of copied like an enterprise network. We have our own single sign-on, things like that. But we use it for trainings. We once like broke an elevator by transporting the server down it, things like that. For workshops, we spin up remote hacking machines. So one thing we'll use, is Kali Linux, supposed to be a security focused Linux distro. But we do that for you, so you never have to install things on your own computer. Mostly, again, check the event details if there are prerequisites, but we try and do that for you. That's also where we host different services and challenges for those workshops. So we basically host everything and you just connect to it and you enjoy it. And it's available to all UCSC students. You're able to connect to it right now, but we have like role-based access. So if you're not partaking in any workshops currently, or you're not in any working groups, you're not going to have much access to many things in there. But if you join, say, the cyber defense working group, you might get access to like the cluster admin dashboard or whatever and be able to spin up VMs to do testing. Just don't spin up like 100 instances of Amog OS. That's a real operating. Yeah. And then lastly, we do have like the CNSA, which is the Computer Networking Association or Student Association. I always forget their acronym. But we have our own switches. We have our own, networking done. But we try and do some hands-on configuring. Mainly, it's been like a team of a few people, like a handful. But when we start doing these cyber working defense group or whatever I called it, we want everyone to get practice with the CLI, so we'll buy a few more of these switches so everyone can practice basically configuring them, have fun and all that stuff. We have our own space to do this stuff, hopefully soon. Right now, we're just in some graduate student office and people are complaining about how loud these servers are. So, maybe not for long. They want us to move to a different server room on the fifth floor, but we'll see. And then I'll make an announcement about the terms of use and usage guidelines for this, but obviously don't try and hack our own infrastructure. We have honeypots and we have like security systems, so please don't do that. With that being said, it's about 30 minutes since we started, and that's about it. Honestly, are there any questions at all from the Zoom chat, from anyone in the audience? As I said before, a lot of these meetings we want to keep light on slides. So, it's mainly just here's a few slides, let's socialize. Yes. So we do have some hardware like infrastructure that we're trying to do. This is mainly working with Peter for his embedded CTF team, but we don't have anything on like TPMs, but we do have like physical equipment you're able to borrow and check out. We have things like logic analyzers, we have a chip whisperer, things like that. So there's a lot of tools you can actually check out. We do have our own inventory system that's not like doesn't have everything inputted in yet, but soon TM. Yes. Do we have any events this quarter? Well, kind of going back to, what are we doing? You want to check the club events. So we try and like announce events at least a week beforehand. I know this one was less than 48 hours, which is very uncommon for us to do, but I'm sorry. Just, we couldn't get the rooms booked in time. If you didn't know, we require like a grad student on the weekends. So we abuse, not necessarily abuse, it's a legitimate system, but we have to go through different channels to get rooms for these meetings. So if we do have events this quarter, they will be announced, they'll be on the calendar, and they'll be probably posted on Instagram as well. Anyone else have questions? All right, I see some from the Zoom. So where can you find the recordings? So we've kind of streamlined into just posting these recordings on our YouTube channel. So they'll be on there. You can just find that by finding our YouTube on the bottom of our website. And I think I do send up follow-up messages of, hey, here's the recording for this meeting. Here are the slides if you just want the slides, things like that. Someone else asked, can you resend the email list form? Yeah, if you want to get on the email list, it's just our site domain /register. If you filled out that form, you're able to get on that. So you can either go to slugsec.ucsc.edu /register, or you can go to our other domain, slugsec.club /register, and that should get you that form. Anyone in the audience? All right, more questions from Zoom. How do I get started on activities? Do we just attend meetings? Yeah, essentially that. So whenever we have workshops, we'll book like an hour, and then we'll probably spend like 30 minutes on slides, and then the rest of that time, there'll be some kind of URL pointing you to where you can get started on these challenges and these hands-on activities. But it will be something like, hey, connect to range.slugsec.club. If you go to that right now, you're going to get like 404 saying that it's only developers, but that's essentially the system that we use for getting started with activities. But yeah, there's really not much other than that. I wanted this to be more of, here's a brief overview, and then you get to socialize with the people next to you and all that stuff. Yes. Do we still have those cameras from the Bug Bounty partnership? So we do have a few. We have one that's from the Roku program. That one is a little special because they wanted you to do like some kind of NDA thing. So if you're interested in doing that, we still have the cameras. I'll just need you to like sign up with a Bug Proud account, and then I'll forward that to our Bug Bounty counterparts so that they can get you like started with the forums. Any other questions? I don't see any workshops on the event page. When do they happen? So if they're not on the calendar right now, or there's no hold for a workshop, that means they haven't been planned yet. So when it comes to next weekend, it'll probably be announced later this week, again, based on when we get approved for the room. So just keep, posted on that page. Any other questions? Right. All right. If there are no questions from the Zoom or audience, I just wanted to thank you for coming. This was kind of a brief meeting, only took 35 minutes. But yeah, as always, the biggest thing about this club is being community. So be nice to people, say hello, join our Discord if you haven't. You're probably in it though because you're here. We have a site. Go look at it. You can email the office or team at slugsec@ucsc.edu. That won't email everyone in the club, so don't worry. And then, I don't know, follow us on Instagram I don't know, for clout, something. But yeah, if you're interested in upcoming events, as always, go to that URL, slugsec.ucsc.edu/events. I will give like a quick demo of this real quick as well. Look at this, our beautiful site. You can go to /events here. And as you can see, there's not much. Next week, we're actually at Baskin Day and say TBA, but that will be in the Baskin Courtyard. We do have new stickers coming in. So if you want like a free sticker, come say hi, all that stuff. But this is basically what we did last time. You can see that there's a lot more events happening if we go back to like last quarter. But you'll see all the workshops and all that stuff on this calendar. So if you don't see anything right now, it's because it hasn't been planned. And this is basically the most up-to-date thing when it comes to program. Any other questions? All right. If not, we'll stick around for a bit and answer questions. Other than that, yeah, thanks for coming, everyone.